And now we've come to the portion of our show where we have to ask, what just happened? We can't believe it either, but let's take a look back at the insanity that was this week and look ahead to what will make us facepalm next week. This is What Just Happened on the Dean Obeidallah Show. Take it away, Dean.
And welcome to What Just Happened. It's Friday, January 10th edition. I'm Dean Obeidallah, joined by two great people. And we're going to have a special guest later who's going to come in she's the queen of pop culture and Palestine. That's her two titles. We have Andrea Coleman, who's back. I got it right. It's not Andrea, it's Andrea Coleman.
Perfect
lawyer, comedian, been featured in everything from BET to New York Times, Time Out New York, NPR. Nice to see you again, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me. It's awesome to see you. You're looking fit.
Thank you. They don't feed us here. It's how they save money at SiriusXM. And Erik Bransteen is back. Comedian, played all over New York. You see him on cable TV doing comedy. He's been a friend of mine for, I think, forever now at this point.
And I'm really excited because today I donated $10,000 to the Marianne Williamson campaign. So I think
perfect time investment. That'll get you a cabinet position. We'll talk later about, but were you disappointed? Marianne, what do you think she's going to do now with her extra time?
Oh, I don't even. What did she do before? She was like into crystals or something like that.
She's back.
She was very much into wellness and health. I knew Marianne Williamson for a while. She's into like the Course in Miracles. No, not personally, but I just knew her as somebody who was into alternative forms of healing and things like that. So
did anything of what you knew of her before make you think this person should be president?
No.
Okay, that's exactly what I think most
thought...
Americans felt the same way. She was entertaining at times in the debate, and she was really good on the reparation issues. One debate, because that was her big issue. But besides that, it really seemed like she was running to elevate her platform to get better known with no realistic chance to be president. I know there are many people who do that all the time, both right and left, to be blunt, for book deals and TV deals and contributorships.
That's what Trump did pretty much.
Yeah, that's what I was
exactly.
thinking.
But he won. That's the bizarre thing.
Yeah.
I mean, well, with the help of Russia. So let's talk about the world almost ended this week. So I'm just happy we're here at this point because we almost had the beginning of a world war. Let me just get your reaction to the edge of war. Did you feel like sincerely we were at the edge of war earlier in the week before both sides stepped back? Andrea?
Oh, me first.
Why not?
No, I did not.
You did not. Tell me why.
I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest, I had my own issues going on this week. So I was thinking about my own personal health. My man was not feeling well this week. And I also ride my bike to work. So it's just a lot of harrowing tales of my own personal existence. And in the background, I heard about potentially going to war. But I felt like that probably wasn't going to happen.
I think that's interesting perspective because the people who listen to this show, be them the mostly progressives, but even on the right, are all like overly engaged. We are overly engaged. You're a normal person.
Right.
But you have two jobs in a sense. You're a lawyer and a comedian,
right,
and you have real life. So you knew something was going on, but didn't know all the details of it. We almost had a war. Okay,
good to know.
But you're not alone in the fact that because we all assume everyone's following this all closely. Even the threat of war, not everyone's following.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to people who've lived through the Cuban Missile Crisis, and they were like, "Yeah, you didn't really like. It was like you just did your day-to-day stuff."
When you watch the movies, it felt like the world just stopped for that.
Right, and then everyone was freaking out all the time. But that's not really the case. I mean.
Well, did you feel like did you think like, sincerely there was a potential to actually, not a world war that's going to end the war, but a real, I would say, troops being committed and an escalation of force?
I mean, obviously when they fired the missiles at the air base, I was like, oh, because, Trump has no self-control. It wasn't like he was going to put the brakes on things. So didn't you think at that point that was going to happen or no?
I was the night we were on live, and we're seeing images that look like the Iraq War. You see like missiles in the sky. And you're like, this is not good. And then the moment that I got truly concerned we were going to close to a war is reporting from CNN that Trump was going to give an address that night. And I'm like, this address is not going to be, I'm going to just tell you everything's cool. I'm going to talk to them. It's all going to go away. It was going to be a wartime speech. And for this half hour that CNN was reporting, it's likely he's going to give this speech. I was reporting, I'm like, we're going to war. And I said that if he gives this speech, and then they backed off because Iran said to U.S. media outlets there in Tehran, that if there's no response, we're done. And no one was killed. And I'm like, oh, there's it out. And Trump, I think he had to take it. I don't really think there was an option because, look, here, I want to play clips. Nina, here is Tucker Carlson, who big Trump supporter, one of Trump's buddies, night after night for like the 3 days until this ended, slamming Trump. Here he is slamming the deep state and going, why should we believe your intelligence agencies? Essentially saying what I would say is a progressive. Let's go to clip number 15, Nina.
It's hard to remember now, but as recently as last week, most people didn't consider Iran an imminent threat. Iranian saboteurs were not committing acts of terror in our cities. Oh, but our leaders tell us they were about to any second, and that's why we struck first. What's so striking is how many people appear to accept this uncritically. Just the other day, you remember, our intel agencies were considered politically tainted and suspect. Certainly on this show they were, and will be for quite some time. And by the way, these are the same people who lied about Iraq's weapons of mass destruction way back in 2002, and by doing that, got us into an utterly pointless war that dramatically weakened our country. The people pushing conflict with Iran are the same people who did that. It seems like about 20 minutes ago, we were denouncing these very people as the deep state and pledging never to trust them again without verification. But now, for some reason, we do seem to trust them implicitly and completely. In fact, we believe whatever they tell us, no matter how outlandish. Iran did 9/11, they're telling us. Oh, okay. Didn't know that. 15 of the 19 hijackers were from Sunni Saudi Arabia. None were from Shiite Iran.
So it goes on from there, but that could have been on a progressive radio station or TV. And it was weird to have this moment where Tucker Carlson is making sense on this very issue. And that is chipping away at Trump's base. They love Tucker. Trump loves Tucker. He brags the guy. I think it had an impact on ultimately what we saw was the pullback because it was not uniform cheerleading on the right. You had Tucker Carlson, who's got the second most popular show on Fox News besides Sean Hannity, right behind Sean Hannity, slamming, not Trump by name, but the administration, Mike Pompeo.
Well, a lot of his hardcore base, they're isolationists.
Right.
They don't want anything to do with any conflict, especially like a lot of them were still mad about Iraq. I mean, even though the Republicans were cheering that on early on, now they're kind of all walking away from it.
Now, do you think there was a big thing about Trump said, I didn't tell Congress in advance, even though he's mandated by the War Powers Act, because they're going to leak it. But he did tell someone else. And here is Stephen Colbert earlier in the week. This is all true. He's talking about a real news story. But I love the joke, and we'll talk about it on the other side. Here's clip number 16, Nina, please.
Presidents usually inform something called the Gang of Eight, which is the top Democrat and Republican in the House and Senate, as well as the chairs of the ranking members of each chamber's intelligence committees. But top Democratic leaders in Congress received no advance notification of the strike. Yeah, they didn't need to know, though, because they weren't staying at a Trump hotel. Apparently, days before the strike, Trump roamed the halls of Mar-a-Lago, telling friends that he was working on a big response to the Iranian regime that they would be hearing about very soon. Can you imagine checking into that hotel? Okay, here's your keys right there. The pool is on the left. There's a fitness center on 7. And if you make your way down to the courtyard, there's an old man giving away state secrets. Tip him. You want to tip him.
And the premise was all factually correct. That was the reporting. Trump was at Mar-a-Lago telling guests something big's going to happen with Iran. And when you hear that, you realize there's no imminent threat. And Pompeo today saying I'll play the clip of Pompeo. There was no imminent threat. This was just to help Trump. Like he could brag about how tough he is. And he thought it could help him win 2020. In fact, Mike Pompeo was on Fox News, asked about imminent threat. We all know the definition of imminent. It means about to happen. Here's Mike Pompeo on the imminent threat. Here's clip number 5, Nina.
There is no doubt that there were a series of imminent attacks that were being plotted by Qasem Soleimani. We don't know precisely when, and we don't know precisely where, but it was real.
Very
that's like imminent not. That's like the opposite. I'm going to describe the opposite of imminent now and call it imminent because I think people are so dumb. It's like, not imminent.
It's like with all immediate speed. What was that they used in the first Brown?
Brown versus Board of Education. Yeah, I think it was all immediate immediate speed. But I mean, who is this for? Like, who believes there was an imminent threat when they went for a week? You had Republican senators going, they didn't tell us anything about a threat, and this is the world we live in.
Yeah. Well, first of all, why did they attack the embassy? I'm still a little unclear about that.
That was because, the timeline was right before Christmas, right after Christmas, the Iranian proxies fire rockets into the U.S. base in, I think, Kirkuk. And they kill one contractor there, which Trump won't talk about, but he was a Muslim Iraqi guy who became a citizen. But he gets killed and some service people were wounded. In response, Trump orders missile strikes, like airstrikes in a few places, not Soleimani, not the general, but a few places. So in response, then the proxies, the next thing they did, it's like, oh, we're taking over the green zone. How do you like that? But they didn't kill anyone. They didn't break into the actual U.S. embassy. They just got to the green zone.
Okay.
And they were yelling and stuff like that. Then they leave, and then Trump kills the second highest ranking person in Iran, because that's the normal response you would do in quote of Occupy Wall Street.
Right, yeah.
Sort of take out Jamie Dimon or something at Citibank in response. Like, I mean, it's just insane when you think about, like, you went to the most extreme. And in fact, I mean, Colbert had a good joke on this, how, and this is all true reporting. Here's clip number 17, Nina.
Trump's advisors went to Mar-a-Lago and military officials put the option of killing Soleimani, which they viewed as the most extreme response, on the menu they presented to President Trump. They didn't think he'd do it. They tacked on the choice of targeting General Soleimani to make other options seem reasonable. Okay, quick note to the generals. The only way Trump isn't going to order something on a menu is if it comes with vegetables. Let's see here. What do we got? What do we got? Ooh. Oh, I got to say, the killing the Soleimani looks tempting. Comes on a bed of spinach. Can you hold that? No, then I'll have the chicken fried sanctions. Or, here's an even better idea. If you didn't want her to pick it, don't give it as an option. It's like your boyfriend saying, wait, why did you choose breakup? I only put that on there so you'd be more into the threesome idea. Which obviously is a joke.
Amazing.
I think Colbert has certainly hit his stride in the time of Colbert, because he's making people smarter. These are all the facts of the story. So if you didn't follow it, you didn't know that that's what the generals did. They gave him options. They gave him one extreme one, going, okay, we'll just throw that in there, thinking he'll never pick it. He picked the most extreme.
That's incredible. I did not know that.
That's what Colbert is doing such a good job in his time. He's informing people and making people laugh. But I think it's remarkable that why put it on the list? I mean, Colbert's ultimately right. This guy's got no self-control. He'll pick whatever gets him the more press, I think, in my head.
That sounds right. I mean, I agree with you. What I do feel heartened by with this is that AOS and what's this guy's name? The conservative
Tucker
guy?
Carlson?
And
AOC
Tucker
and
Carlson.
Tucker, yeah.
Oh, AOS. That's
AOS
like
is something different. That's like some kind of
affidavit of service. Yeah, sorry. I'm still
some kind of
practicing law.
functioning system.
AOS is like, okay, AOC.
AOS?
And affidavit of
SOS?
service, yeah. That Tucker Carlson and AOC.
COD and Tucker Carlson got together.
And HBO.
HBO
No,
with FBI. It was
I
remarkable.
like, there's something about Trump, he's like unifying the opposites. So obviously I don't love the way that it's happening, but it is happening. I'm really curious. Do you know anything about Tucker Carlson's mindset? I feel
He's
like
a white supremacist.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
He was probably just saying that for ratings anyway.
No. He is. But no, if you watch, like I played on the show, and I'm not kidding, I would cut out the white supremacist garbage in between, because he'd say things like, we should not be going to Iraq because we have to deal with the brown invasion on our border, and we should be fighting a war in Mexico, literally. And I would cut that stuff out and then leave in the other stuff, because it comes from a place, it seems odd, but it comes from a place of white supremacy. Let the brown people kill each other. Right. Let's worry about our problems here. Let's not spend any money there. Let's spend the money here and only let in white people to America. That's
Does that make you question the conclusion that liberals are coming to? Obviously, not all liberals are great. Does it make you question what the conclusion AOC is coming to, if it's the same conclusion that a white supremacist is coming to?
It's a good question. I think it's not we are agreeing with them, they are agreeing with us, and they're agreeing for different reasons. And so I do not applaud Tucker Carlson for getting to the place of opposing a war because he wants brown people to kill each other and wants to deal with the brown insurgency coming from the Mexico, in his view. That's literally his view.
But at least they agree on something, the two parties. I mean, they don't agree on anything else.
Right.
So, I mean, I feel like that's something, you know?
I mean, I also think that's the only way we're going to get anything done. I mean, I don't know, just because I'm still practicing, I'm every day dealing with people who are on the opposite side that I'm on, and we have to come to a conclusion. And so when I'm on the phone with my client, they're talking shit about the other side. I'm like, whoa, like, I actually know the person on the other side. I've been working with them for over a decade. So, like, let's calm it down. They've got their reasons for why they're doing what we're doing. You know what I mean? Like, but it aids us to come to a resolution that both sides are comfortable with. So we have to work. I mean, it's going to sound cheesy, but we have to find a way to work together because we're not going to kill everybody who disagrees with us.
No, and I don't think killing is on the table, but I also don't think there's going to be, I'm pretty sure that's not on the options. Like, if you're giving me a menu as a general, that would not be one you would give me. But I
Used
don't.
to be the generals were gung-ho. Now it seems like they're the adults in the room. You know what I
Have
mean?
you seen Trump? He'll put the craziest thing. He'll just pick it. Everybody's just laughing. I bet they even bet. To me, I think we need to heal as a country. I don't think it'll be in the time as Trump is president. I think it's going to be post-Trump. If we're going to heal parts of our nation together, it'll be after Trump. I can't see how you can heal a guy like this. This campaign, there was just a reporting tonight. He might add more Muslim countries to his Muslim ban. And that's just to make his base happy. I mean, we're going to a very ugly campaign like we've never seen before.
And which ones is he banned right now? I thought he banned
right now.
all
It's like
of them.
Syria. No, that's what he wanted. Then he pulled back, and then the actual executive order was limited to, I think it's Syria, Yemen, Libya.
Oh, not Saudi Arabia.
No, of course not. Yeah. Not Pakistan. Even though Saudi Arabia is where the terrorists came from. No.
That's right.
They've got a lot of money. He does want to build hotels there. There's no doubt about it. He does want to build hotels there ultimately. So, all right, so let's take a break and come back. And as both of you being liberals, why is it that you love terrorism so much? Because that's what Republicans are saying. We'll come back and play some Republicans accusing of that when we come back on the Dean Obeidallah Show after this.
Dean Obeidallah Show on Sirius XM Progress 127.
You're listening to What Just Happened with everyone's favorite host, Dean Obeidallah.
And welcome back to the Dean Obeidallah Show. We're live here Friday, January 10th for What Just Happened here with Erik Bransteen and Andrea Coleman. Got it right.
Perfect.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
I keep wanting to say Andrea, but it's Andrea. So I got to play. This is one of the leading Republicans in Congress on Fox News with Lou Dobbs saying about Democrats something just off the charts craziness. Here's clip number 18, please, Nina.
About constraining his authorities as the commander-in-chief vis-a-vis Iraq. How venal, how vapid can one party become?
You know, Lou, it just is amazing. I mean, if it wasn't so sad and serious with our country to have Nancy Pelosi, I did not think she could become more hypocritical than she was during impeachment. But guess what? Surprise, surprise. Nancy Pelosi does it again, and her Democrats fall right in line. One, they're in love with terrorists. We see that. They mourn Soleimani more than they mourn our Gold Star families who are the ones who suffered under Soleimani.
So why is it that why do we love terrorists? This is beyond like just hyperbole. This is just in the world of insanity.
How come everyone forgets that Obama, a liberal, killed the biggest terrorist we ever have had, basically?
Right. Bin Laden.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't understand. Like, everyone seems to forget that all the time, you know?
I don't forget it. No, people on the right today are saying, but Obama killed bin Laden and he didn't have like a declaration of war or whatever thing they're saying. So why could you be upset about what Trump did? They're vastly different. First of all, if you look up anything, if you Google it, folks, you'll find out Obama was in talks with the Republican senators and leading the Gang of Eight, the main people, for 4 months before the killing of bin Laden. They knew everything what was going on. Secondly, it was not killing a state actor. It was killing a rogue terrorist. Soleimani, the general, is essentially the second highest ranking guy of a nation. Okay. And assassinating members of other governments is against the law of the United States of America, unless you have a justifiable reason. That's where this whole imminent threat stuff comes in, they make up. But, I mean, for Doug Collins, for a leading Republican to say that his arguments that we want to curtail Trump's violation of the Constitution because we love terrorists, I mean, what's your reaction to that?
I obviously, I don't think that that's true. I feel like he's probably saying that a little bit to speak to his base, and it probably goes towards this idea that Republicans care about the military and military families more than Democrats do, and that sort of idea. But I obviously don't find that to be true. I grew up in, I was born in Norfolk, Virginia, and Norfolk, I think, still is the largest military base in the country. And I'm a Democrat, and I love the military, and so I don't.
Is your family in the military?
Well, my mom is retired. She worked for the government and was worked in the base, but not as a civilian. Okay. And then my dad also worked for the military, but also as a civilian. But I mean, he was of age to have to be in Vietnam, so he was. I think he was in the Coast Guard though at that time. So, being enmeshed in people in the military was just part of my life growing up. But I think it's just kind of like these ideologies or these ideas that the sides will like grapple onto that aren't really tied to the truth.
So Republicans lying? Is that what you're going out there and saying on a limb?
Well, I think both sides do. I do think the Democrats do the same thing. Republicans do this.
I actually love terrorists a little bit.
Just a little bit?
Yeah, just a little
Is anybody
bit.
in your family serving the military at all?
Back in the day, not like World War II and things like that.
Then.
Not what?
In World War II.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Not in Vietnam or anything.
All right. So let's shift gears because I think all week all of us have been talking about these key issues. Let's talk about a comedian, George Lopez. George Lopez does a joke, and people haven't seen it. I will read what happened. There was at the funeral procession for Soleimani, so it's still tied to Iran. Someone said there that they posted that they're going to give $80 million bounty on President Trump's head if someone would kill him. And it's unsubstantiated claim, but that person put that in writing. George Lopez wrote on the actual post in response, "We'll do it for half." He's a professional comedian. Obviously, he's playing on the idea that being of Mexican heritage, they'll work and do it for half. The right wing went crazy. Charles Kirk, all these right wing people literally going, the Secret Service has got to go talk to that guy. First of all, should there be any room left for comedians to be able to joke about things? He didn't say, "I'll do it for half." That would be a little different, even as a joke. "We'll do it for half" was clearly a joke. There's no disputing it's a joke.
And it's weird. An hour later, Carlos Mencia did the same exact tweet.
Very nice. Carlos Mencia, known for joke stealing. And Kevin Nebraska comes on our show, opens for him all the time.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, look, are we at this world now that I thought the right hated political correctness, but when it came to, because this is clearly a joke by a professional comedian, but apparently they want to be PC when they don't like the joke.
I think. Well, go ahead. What do you think?
No. Well, it's the whole thing of like, well, did the Secret Service come to his house?
They said they're aware of it. They said the Secret Service officially said, not even kidding, "We are aware of the tweet made by Mr. Lopez. They take all threats against the president seriously, and we do not comment on the matter, and no one from the Secret Service, though, has contacted Lopez as of 2 days ago." But they're aware of the tweet. But still, to get to their attention, I mean, it's a joke. Now, at least they're not investigating it.
Right.
And we could talk about Ted Nugent in a second, who actually threatened. But I mean, to me, the hypocrisy is the right wing. They whine about everything. They're the victim of everything. Oh, everyone in Hollywood is against them. And when they hate political correctness, so they want to use it to demonize minorities, tell jokes that are vicious and vile. But when George Lopez, a professional comedian, tells clearly a joke, they want the Secret Service to investigate him.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in the First Amendment. I believe in the First Amendment. I love the Constitution. Also, I'm a comedian, so I think that comedians should have a wide latitude and wide breadth to say things that, there are going to be repercussions to it. I think about how I would feel if somebody made this comment about Obama, and I'd probably be pissed because I like Obama. But at the same time, there'd be the part of me that's like, okay, as a lawyer who appreciates the First Amendment, it's my favorite, even more than the one about slavery. I love the First Amendment. As a lawyer who loves the First Amendment, and as a comedian, I do think I respect a comedian's right to tell a joke. And I also respect the Secret Service's job to investigate. Yeah. I don't think it has to be mutually
inclusive. It's a bit of a waste of a time, though. But
what do you think? I think you make a great point, though. And I think about that too, because we're progressive, so we think about being ourselves, are putting the shoe on the other foot. What if some comedian who was a right-wing comedian said a joke about Obama like this? Would you have been like, Erik, come on, you should be better than that, or you would have laughed it off and go, no big deal?
Yeah, I would have laughed it off. I mean, when Ted Nugent said something. But it's Ted Nugent. What is he going to do?
He wasn't. He said it in anger on stage, and also said it calmly later. That, in a way, that was much more threatening about if I think he said if Obama was reelected, he'll either be in prison or out of the country type of thing. He talked about
dead.
himself, right? Dead. Right. And then on stage, he used his gun. He said, "Hey, Obama, and Hillary, I got a gun right here. I got this right here. Put it in my mouth," type of thing. And that was off the charts. And what happened? Ted Nugent invited by Donald Trump to the White House in his first year in the presidency. So he's rewarded for threatening President Obama.
Yeah, and that second thing, in concert, that's you might be inspiring people to do stuff like that when you do it in concert. So that might be a little different, right? That's what you said. He was talking about it at a concert.
He did. Yeah, that is true. Because I saw Ozzy Osbourne, and then I was starting to bite off the heads of bats left and right. Inspired to do the worst after that. I love the hypocrisy of the right. I don't think it changes anything to them. We can call out all day. I don't think they're moved by being called a hypocrite.
No.
Or decency either. I don't think that moves them. Because there's too much hypocrisy.
But it wasn't, I don't know who was just talking. One of the quotes was calling Pelosi hypocritical as well. I don't know. I do think that
They don't think they're hypocritical because they're in their own bubble.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the news they get it confirms their life views and everything like that. So I don't even think that's even an issue for them. You watch Fox, you'll never all day.
I don't watch it all day, but for 3 hours a night it's on to my left. And from 6 to 8 it's actually kind of news, frankly. Then it's Tucker.
Right.
And Tucker comes on.
They got rid of Shepard Smith, though.
Because he was doing the news. He was doing facts. They're we can't have that because it's going to make people's brains hurt. Yeah. Stop it. So, all right, let's take a break. When we come back, a special guest is going to come in to explain the next topic in What Just Happened. Are you ready, special guest? I'm not going to tell you who it is, but she is our royalty to talk about the royalty and what's going on in What Just Happened right after this break.
Dean Obadala Show on Sirius XM Progress 127.
Your entire week's exhausting news broken down in one hilarious hour. What Just Happened is now live with Dean Obidala.
And welcome back, Dean Obidala. We're live here Friday, January 10th. What just happened? Andrea Coleman and Erik Bransteen are with me, but now a special guest for this topic who's going to lead us in the conversation, make everything make sense for me because I don't understand it. The one, the only, the Princess of Palestine, our own royalty, Nina. Nina, that's your special music. And now Nina's waving to the camera. Nina, explain to us Prince Harry and Meghan type of thing. I don't get the whole thing. I understand they're moving, but I'm like, okay, they're moving. Big deal. What's up?
All right, I think we should talk about her life before she got married because I think that is very important and helps with the context of the story. So before she met Harry, which they met on a blind date from mutual friends, she was a theater kid. She was in a sorority. She was a model on Deal or No Deal, you know, that like briefcase model girls.
Sure.
She was a very successful actress on Suits. She had a very well-known...
My favorite show of all time, Suits.
Oh,
Suits?
really?
No,
Really?
No one's
I got
ever seen that show.
She had a very well-known lifestyle blog. This was before everyone had a blog. You know how everyone has a podcast and they all suck? But this was before that. So her lifestyle blog was very popular, and she was really ahead of her time via social media. And then she met her prince. They got married. She got knocked up. And then now she has to live a life of a royal, which is drastically different than her real life because living as a royal, there's public displays of affection are frowned upon.
Wow.
Marriage proposals require permission. There's a specific way to drink tea. Even women in Saudi Arabia can drink tea however they want. So that says a lot.
What's up, Crown? I mean,
absolutely no social media, and yeah, it's crazy. You have to like wear a hat.
You have to cross your legs a certain way.
You can't cross your legs.
He
it's
knows
like
everything.
Yeah, it's insanity.
She's,
so I guess when
Nina's getting ready to date the other prince.
I would love to.
So
follow me on Instagram. So when they first announced that they were in a serious relationship, like media ripped her apart. The racism started. People would say that she had like her bra strap showed one day, and there was this like worldwide headlines of like wardrobe malfunction. Like they nitpicked everything. Wow. Media had a field day when her father didn't come to her wedding. Her parents are divorced. Right. So she just lived a life of scrutiny, and they realized that it was just not worth it. So they said peace. And so hang on. First question. Their friends set them up on a blind date? Who's like setting up people with princes and princesses? Like that's like the greatest matchmaking thing I've ever heard in my life. Like I had signed up for blind dates. I never and Dean, here's the Princess of Monaco. I'm like, what? The Princess of Monaco? How did you connect? Like, how do you get that?
It was a Bumble thing, wasn't it?
I think
you buried the lead. That's the coolest part of this whole story. I think she really fell in love with him and vice versa, and she thought maybe she could handle this type of life, and when she got into it, she just said it was too much and she pulled the plug. So, because also tell people the pulling the plug part. What's going on? Her husband is 7th in line to be king. Right. So that's 7th in line. And he's never going to be king. Where are you in Palestine? Yeah. I'm number 1 in Palestine. You're number 1. Hello. So Nina, so when you say they pull the plug in peace, explain to people. So this is what they stated on. They stated. This happened 2 days ago, right? Yes, they wrote it via Instagram, but I don't think it was their personal Instagram. They have like a royal family page. It's insanity. I would never want a page with my whole family, but that's a whole different story. They wrote, "We intend to step back as senior members of the royal family and work to become financially independent while continuing to fully support Her Majesty the Queen. It is with your encouragement, particularly over the past few years, that we feel prepared to make this adjustment." Now, people were blaming Oprah. She came out and said it wasn't her fault. Why would you blame Oprah? There was like gossip blogs that said that Oprah encouraged her to do this. Oh. I don't know if that's true. I'm not Oprah's friend, so I can't confirm nor deny. Well, but Oprah does support people to live their truth. Yeah, and I think also like Beyonce and Jay-Z love her. They like edited their picture in front of the Mona Lisa and they put her picture instead of Mona's. Do you remember that? No, I didn't know about that. Yeah, Beyonce posted that on her Instagram. Crazy.
I didn't know you could leave the royal family. I thought it was like the mafia.
Well, exactly. You know? Like this is very new.
Well, they said that she's going to split her time between America and now she's in Canada, and there's like rumors that she left her baby in London. Like, I'm not mom shaming her or anything. I'm just you're saying that she went out to get cigarettes and then she signed up for something like that. This picture of mine. So I heard the Queen is pretty upset. So Andrea, yes, explain. You follow this close. You didn't follow the war stuff, but you follow this really closely. So explain to me. First of all, why do you follow this closely, and then we'll talk about your reaction to it.
Well, because I'm a black woman, first of all, and I'm in an interracial relationship, and I'm
with the prince.
He's a prince in New Jersey. and the kind of the interracial relationship I'm in is not a common one. It's like black woman, white man. And so whenever I see like other interracial relationships of that configuration, it really stands out. So I follow them. So I'm like, okay, Megan, she's biracial, she's half black, which makes her fully like black. And so I'm following it because I'm like, okay, she's in an interracial relationship with a white guy. So what's up? And I appreciate this. Like, I think I follow it because I care about that, and
he's the whitest white guy.
He's
too.
super white. He's like red hair, which also I do have like an affinity for people with red hair.
Oh, wow.
My boyfriend does not have red hair, but
not yet. You'll change.
He's gonna dye his hair after
I like him so much. I'm like, don't you have red hair? He's like, it's not red. I don't know how many times.
To your boyfriend? Yes. The way you're picturing. Now, they said they want to be financially independent. I want to be financially dependent on the royalty. So is there a way I'll go over there. Can you exchange me?
I mean,
I'll do my show from there.
I heard that she's going to start up her blog again. And I'm sure
she's
the
gonna be
ads.
An influencer on Instagram.
She's going to get
Sure
paid per post on Instagram like the Kardashians do. She's going to sell herbal tea.
She's going to have a show on SiriusXM Progress.
Flat tummy tea.
They're going to be just fine.
I feel like this is a big deal because it's Prince Harry saying basically, I don't like what happened to my mom. I feel like the media attention to my mom is what killed her, and my wife is having a horrible experience, and I don't want any of this.
The media in Europe hate her.
Right. And then
they do?
Yeah. They
do.
Trash her
They
daily.
blame her for the fact that they don't have as much access to the royal family anymore. Like, they didn't do an official baby picture in front of the hospital that apparently you're supposed to do. Instead, they put a picture up on Instagram. So they're bucking the system. It's very American.
Her bra strap showed, and they just ripped her apart in the media. Like, it's insane.
Because she's from Compton, or she's from somewhere in that area. So one of the first headlines that came out was like something about like, oh, the prince is with somebody who's almost straight out of Compton.
Wow.
So they were really
so
harping
the open
on it.
race, and so you're happy they're moving and to live their life wherever they want to live it.
Well, I just like that it seems like they're willing to make people uncomfortable. They're willing to go against the grain. I mean, I tend to be a rule follower. Mm-hmm. So when people break the rules, I'm inspired by that. So I'm like, wow. I mean, for what seems to be a good reason. So they're kind of choosing to go out of the limelight. Well, I don't know, a little bit, but
now they'll save the British taxpayers money, right? Like,
well, no, I think they were getting 90-something% of their income from Prince Charles.
Oh,
it said it wasn't.
But that's like tax money, isn't it?
He might get it from somewhere else. You're right. So it might be he's like a pass through.
Yeah.
Like the money goes.
He cleans the money. He's a
like
launderer.
S chapter corporation, and it goes right to the kids. Look, I mean, I'm trying to think honestly. If I was born into royalty, how much would I be willing to give up of my life, my personal freedom?
There you go.
To be part of it.
That's the question.
What?
You'd never delete your Twitter.
Yeah, but I would not be on Twitter. No, if I was born into it. Like if I was, like if a princess now, me and my hen broke up and I got some princess heard my show. I was like, that's what I want. I want to marry Dino Bidala, but here's the trade-off. It would be harder now because you have to give up so much in your life. But if you're born into it, it's differently. But I mean, I saw The Crown. I like The Crown. I mean, this is going to be a great episode of The Crown when this happens. A great season. But I mean, every relationship has some trade-offs. The question of what you can live with. I mean,
I think what you're addressing is like how much is somebody willing to go against their family grain. And so I'm not royal family, but I'm from Virginia, and I'm from the kind of family where everybody lives very close to one another. Like my mom lives around the corner from like two of her sisters and her mom before my grandmother died. My dad lives around the corner from his sister. Like people are very tight knit, and I'm in New York. They think I'm crazy. So the decision for me to like move to New York was not an easy one. They were like, what are you doing? That's not what's done. And so on a different scale, on a larger scale, this is kind of what they're doing, but everyone's talking about it. Like whenever I would come home, everybody in P-Town, Portsmouth, Virginia, would be talking about like, oh my God, what is Andrea doing now? And it's really uncomfortable. I can only imagine how much more difficult it would have been if people were tweeting about it. Right.
You think they're just trying to get away from it all? Like
escape?
Like Prince Andrew when he went to Pedophile Island. He just wanted to.
Well, I mean, there was a king, obviously. Is it King Edward who
abdicated, right?
Abdicated for his American woman. his
Yeah.
wife, and Mrs. What's her name? I can't remember her name right now, but it's in The Crown. It comes up all the time.
Oh,
I
is it?
just watched the King's speech. I've somehow become into English things now. I have no connection. I mean, the English colonized my father. He's Palestinian. They made it a colony, a mandate. So I've been, and America was colonized by the British. Yet there's this bizarre affinity, I think, that so many of us have with royalty, even when they talk about the Kennedys being a form of royalty. And the Trump's being the opposite.
I mean, some English people have told me that we like it more in this country than they like it there. I don't know if that's true because we don't have a royal family. This was an English.
Do you want a royal family?
We have a royal family.
Who are they?
Beyonce, Jay-Z.
They're the king and the queen?
They sure are.
I was watching them on the Globes. I was like, why are they there? Were they nominated for something?
Beyonce also didn't stand up for some of the awards she was like getting ripped in the media too. Well,
Adore her.
Yeah,
I'm like,
she doesn't
I
feel like
love.
standing up. She doesn't have to.
Yeah, I love that she's in prime seating, and I'm like,
Yeah.
is she? Well, because she's
She's
here because
Beyonce,
she's
she can do
Beyonce.
whatever
She
she
can do
wants.
whatever she wants. Exactly.
I think this is a great decision that Meghan and Harry made. They're
I was going to
being
ask
very
you, so, Nina,
progressive.
so you're happy they're going to,
Yeah.
do you want them to move to America?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd
Would you
love
be
to,
friends? You think you'd be buddies with Meghan?
Shit.
Like the kind of
Follow
person
me on
like,
Instagram, please.
do you think like you look at her, you're like, we could be friends? Like I look at some celebrities, I'm like, that me and that person could be buddies.
She had celebrity friends way before she got married to Harry. She was friends with Serena and all of them, and she's friends with Priyanka Chopra. Like I said, the royal family needs to ease up a little bit. I think this is the first step. I'm glad that she had the balls to do this.
Can I ask you a question about Meghan?
Sure.
So here's my deal with her. She seems so like she would never say the wrong thing. Like
but
so
that's because
proper.
they forced her to be that way. I think
What does she
before
really
she got
like?
married, she was just a normal person who had a blog and
I mean,
went on gigs, and she was in a sorority, and she had a lot of friends.
I want to know if she's going to be able to talk shit. You know what I mean? Like, I
I don't
want to
think
know
they
if
are.
Tell
I
her a book?
like, no,
She
no,
could write like a tell-all book about the queen.
no. Like, if I
So
invite
cool.
her to a slumber party, is she going to be fun, or is she going to sit in the corner and
She's
be?
a princess
I think
now,
she's
though,
gonna
isn't she?
let loose after.
Do you have to
her
sign an
move.
NDA when you
Yeah.
join the royal family?
They weren't allowed to take selfies with anybody. They weren't allowed to
So
give
who's the other?
autographs.
What's the other couple that people talk about a lot?
Kate
Oh, yeah.
Middleton,
Yeah, Kate Middleton.
Yeah, no
What
one
hap-
cares about them
What
anymore.
about that? Where are they?
living their best bougie life with
Because
their
they're not in
little
the top
hats.
tier. They're not in the top tier.
No, they are.
They are.
So they're gonna
He's like second or third.
yeah. So they're
right?
gonna follow the rules.
See, I've been to Saudi where we did comedy shows and there were princes there. I thought the one prince, and I go, where are you in line? And he's like, 5,000 princes have to die for me to be king. So he's like,
So there's a chance.
Never. He's like,
I don't know the exact.
He's just a guy at that point.
They're
He's just a
definitely
dude.
they're definitely
He's
way
the
ahead.
guy who's rich. He's a
Yeah.
prince, right? So we did comedy. Me and Gabriel Iglesias. We did shows in Saudi, and because we're all like, "Where are you in line?" He's like, really far down." He's like, so. All right, Nina, is there? Would you like to marry royalty? Would you give up your lifestyle? You barely gave it up for a reality show you were on for a week. For the cooking channel,
I got
she was
kicked off
on.
first
Really?
episode.
She was in the cooking channel reality show, and they took away her
My
social
computer.
media, and she went crazy. So what if a prince shows up and goes, Nina, you're my person, but you've got to come to Saudi, and you got to...
I mean, I don't know. Depends what's in it for me besides money. Like,
Of course I know, it's of course the question is what's in it for you.
I mean, it depends how famous I'd be.
What if not famous at all?
Because, like, I'd probably pull a Megan, like, do it for a couple years, get super famous, get super rich, then dip.
But what if you were famous, but you couldn't control the narrative? Like,
I
you
mean,
were
I would do it for a little bit, and then I would go on, like, Barbara Walters and have, like, an expose and be like, they forced me to do this. Please pay for my Instagram ads.
That's so. All right, so Nina,
I have it all planned out, Dean.
I think you did a great job.
Thank you so much.
Explaining this topic, bringing people up to. Because look, it's been a long week. We almost had a war.
Yeah.
We had a lot of lies from Mike Pompeo. I'm tired now. I was not tired until about an hour ago. Like I was like, this week went fast. It was lightning fast, and now I'm like, oh my gosh. Nina, anything you want to add before closing out here? Do you want to stay for the conversation about 2020?
Sure.
I can ask you about the 2020 candidates.
Okay. I have my favorites.
Who's your favorite?
Tom Steyer.
Tom Steyer.
Oh,
Tom
my God.
Steyer.
I love
came,
Tom
He was on.
Steyer.
He's my buddy. Don't badmouth Tom.
Okay.
He came in here in person a bunch of times, but he came in last time. What did he promise you?
I have it on video. I told him, if you win, can I be your vice president? He said, absolutely. And then I was like, Tom, I just want to let you know that I'm recording us and verbal contracts are binding in New York. And he started laughing. I'm like, I'm not kidding. Like, I'm going to be the vice president if he wins.
Well, he's a
That's
billionaire,
amazing.
right?
He was on last night.
He's
and
going to
I
have to pay
said-
me out if he wants me to drop this.
I think it would be a stunning if he wants to break norms and
I'd be a
have a
great vice
25-year-old Muslim Palestinian girl as his VP. That'd be all for it.
That'd be great.
So, is there any Do you guys have a favorite in the field? You know, I'm not going to ask you to defend it. I'm just curious if you have a favorite or a top couple.
Not really. I like the optimist in me likes Bernie Sanders.
What do you mean the optimist?
Because I don't think we're ready for what he's bringing. I know that there's going to be a ton of people that's like, we're ready. Like, it's time. Maybe, I hope. That would be great. He's a favorite. But also, that's the thing that breaks my heart is that in order to win, you have to not speak clearly. Like, you have to speak in political speak. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I like the most about Bernie is that he's a little rough around the edges, and I feel like he's very of all the candidates on the Democratic side, I think he's more likely to say things that aren't super polished but are true. Whereas I think Warren, I've just had a few instances where she's been asked a direct question. And again, maybe it's the lawyer in me, but I can't stand it when I ask somebody a question and they don't answer it, that they dance around it. And so I understand that in order to be a viable candidate, you have to do that, but I hate it. And so
you think he's more plain spoken? He answers the question.
Right. Warren says she doesn't wash her face. She was saying that today.
What?
She was saying she doesn't wash her face.
What do you mean? Ever?
I don't know, because
how many years?
Basically, it's why she kind of looks younger and stuff, and everyone was jumping all over her.
That's the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
If you don't
Matt can back this up. Did you just say? What did you say, Matt?
I just read that before.
I thought you said, all right. So this is true that she doesn't wash her face. That's why she looks great for 70. No one could believe when she was turning 70.
She probably
got so much energy. She got a ton of energy. I think it's more.
She looked 7. She's like 7 years younger than Sanders. He looks like 50 years older than her, right?
Well, but Bernie's got a ton of energy. I will say this. I think Biden at times shows some energy. Other times, what do you guys think of Joe Biden?
Right now, he's the only one winning head to head in the states we need to win. So.
And why is it so important to you?
Because you have to win the election.
and
that's what people have to that's all that matters now.
Interesting. What about you? Do you care, Andrea?
You have to win this.
Do I care
the fact
about
that Joe doesn't move you if push comes to shove and you're going to support a nominee, a person for the nomination, not a nominee. I assume we're all going to support whoever our nominee is, that we'll vote blue no matter who. But the fact that Biden is leading head to head against Trump
in the important states,
does that matter to you at all?
I do think it's relevant, but my heart is not with him.
Okay.
So I'm not. Do
you have any reason not to like him, Biden, or you're just not impressed by him? We're not inspired by him.
I'm not inspired by him, and I think he's just very political. I think he's business as usual. Like, I understand the people who voted for Trump because they don't like our system and they don't like the way things are going. So I'm one of those people, but I wouldn't vote for Trump. But like, I also think our system doesn't work. Biden is the same system. So that I don't like that.
It's status quo.
I don't want any more status quo.
And Nina, is there anyone you like besides Tom Steyer? Obviously, you love Tom because you're going to be his running mate. You'll be his running mate.
All jokes aside, Tom's a great guy.
He is.
And I think he's a great candidate. I think he's the only one who actually genuinely cares about the people and not just clout.
You don't think Bernie or Warren care about the people?
I don't think Warren cares.
Well, he's good with the environment, Steyer.
Yeah, Tom cares about a lot of important issues.
I'm not being pro-Steyer. You can say whatever you want about him. I'm not kidding. I
don't know. Biden is just a creep. And
what?
He just looks creepy.
Wow.
Sniffs girls' hairs and stuff.
Oh my God.
Weird.
You worked on Fox News.
I would vote blue no matter who it was because that's the normal thing to do.
What about Bernie? What do you think about Bernie?
I would vote for Bernie. He's okay.
Klobuchar?
I mean, like I said, I would always vote for the Democratic person, but I don't really like her either.
Okay, before we go to a break, if there was going to be one surprise in Iowa that someone does so much better than expected, because right now the top tier, it's Bernie and it's Biden and Warren and Buttigieg sort of up there. If there was one person, though, you think from that second tier that jumps up higher than anyone expects, all the names are on the screen right now, is there someone that you think could be a surprise come February 3rd that night on Iowa caucus?
I mean, I'd like to say Cory Booker, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Cory.
Yeah.
Do you like Cory?
Oh, yeah.
But he not in Iowa because it's very white there, so I don't know if, that's their
Gotta take a break. Nina, any surprise? No. Nina says Harry or Meghan. Could they be a surprise? All right, let's take a break and come back with more of the Dino Bidala Show. We didn't do Guess Who Said It. We ran out of time.
Your entire week's exhausted news broken down into one hilarious hour. What Just Happened is now live with Dean Obeidallah.
And welcome back, Dino Bidala Show. Andrea Coleman, Erik Bransteen, and Nina's here. But now John Fugelsang just showed up.
Hello.
It's an all-star collective here. Johnny, you looking
Good
forward to
evening.
your show? What's going on, my friend?
We
tonight?
have quite a show. I know it's been a slow news week, so we're going to have a 3-hour middle-aged white male tribute to Rush. That's going to be the intent.
Neil Peart.
Although we will talk a bit about the loss the music world had today, because Rush was an important band to a lot of people. Obviously, there's so much to digest between what we've seen this week in Iran in the campaign, Bernie now in the lead, as you guys were talking about in Iowa. Can Mike Bloomberg work out a deal where he can buy his way to a brokered convention and offer a large cash bounty if he gets a nomination?
I hope not.
Well, that's what we all get to worry about, isn't it? Because
So
Mike
who's on your
Bloomberg, Mayor Stop and Frisk, is not going to get the nomination through conventional means.
No. Who's on your show tonight?
I am so thrilled that author and Princeton professor Lauren Wright is back on our show. She's brilliant, and she's someone who's written a lot about pop culture and politics, and I'm fascinated by the separation of pop culture and state now that we've elected a Kardashian. And a deeply inappropriate panel featuring Janice Massetti, and I'm already apologizing for
Janice.
it. I've drafted an apology to the
Very
entire
funny.
community, featuring clips from Trump's rally and commentary by Kyle Ocasio and Janice Massetti.
Oh, Kyle, I know both of them. All right, great. Sounds like a great show, my friends. Don't go anywhere. Erik and Andrea, thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Nina, the Princess of Palestine, thanks so much for coming in and explaining royalty to royalty.
Happy birthday, Jared Kushner, Dean.
Oh, I'm sorry, he's
Oh, is that
39
today?
today. Happy birthday. He's such a busy guy. Folks, thanks for tuning in. I'll be on Twitter all weekend at Dean Obeidallah, or drop me an email, dean@deanofradio.com. Thanks for tuning in. Don't go anywhere. John Fugelsang coming up right after this.